changes to the 2012 funds so that there was a greater mixture headed towards specifically infrastructure?
Ron, that's a great question, and I can tell you we've already did it. When I was president of the council, when I was still in the city council, I actually chaired the committee to revive the rules as far as 2012. That's where the 50% for infrastructure, the 25% for economic development, and the 25% for civic improvements, that's where that came from. I drove that bus because I was so concerned that we were spending so much of our 2012 money not on infrastructure. We were ignoring it, and that was something that I continue to focus on, is the need to put money back into infrastructure, whether it's water, whether it's sewer, whether it's the streets, whether it's buildings. And I'll give you a perfect example, and that is the fact that for the first time ever, the city of Rapid City went over and we are tripling the dollar amount that we're going to spend on maintaining residential streets. Along with Robert Ellis, we came up with a program, we took it to the city council, and yes, I'm going to give the city council a lot of credit because they supported it. We are now spending $2 million a year annually to maintain residential streets. Last year, it was $500,000. We're dead serious about infrastructure, and we not only did that through 2012, but we're also doing that through our CIP programs. Thank you for the question.
Well, without getting into the other topic, the 2012 funds really should be used for infrastructure. Period. They are currently under the guise, I guess, of growth, whatever that means. That money is, if I remember right, it's about 0.5% of the 2% sales tax is where that's coming from. So anything you see in the budget, and I think it's $46 million we took in this year, or last year, that means a quarter of that went to the 2012 funds. That money should not have come from there, in my opinion. 2012 has probably lived its useful life. It's time we actually spent that money on the infrastructure in the city. It's starting to crumble.
I'm a strong supporter of the 2012 fund. I also believe that we have a responsibility to use it more responsibly. I believe that we have a responsibility to identify the operation and maintenance costs on projects that we build with 2012 so that it doesn't put undue pressure on other funds. I also think that creatively with the 3 committees of 2012 you can identify almost anything as infrastructure, and I think it's a real problem when you have 3 committees that all recommend against a project like the energy plant, and at the last minute, because of a lack of planning from the current administration, an energy plant request comes forward and budges in front of the line, and that creates a problem for the credibility of 2012, but overall I support the program. Thank you.
Thank you. I too support the program, the 2012 program, and it's an issue of timing. There is periods of time that there may be necessity to take more of that money and use it for infrastructure in our community. There may be times when a swimming pool may be necessary for people in a community. There may be times when there's an addition to the Civic Center, which you've seen happen in our community. There may be times for tennis courts. There may be times for restrooms on these tennis courts. Part of that extra penny does go into CIP, go into our infrastructure. And 50% of the 2012 does go into infrastructure. But there are points and times, it's a timing issue. I did set through the last round of 2012 and I thought the money was spent appropriately. I thought the council did due diligence on those projects. And we do look at the operating and maintenance costs of those projects because it is important. We don't want to have a project that's going to be continually funded by the taxpayers. That's not the purpose of it. There is periods. The purpose of the 2012 was to bring to Rapid City things that otherwise would not have happened. Swimming pools, which we'll see in the future, ice rinks. Thank you.
All right, with that we will move to our next section and we will be discussing the TIFs. And the first prepared question for you guys is, because Rapid City has had so many tax increment financing districts, how will you as mayor balance this type of